Hi everyone, this is Terry at terryscraftroom.com. Welcome back. Today we're going to make this beautiful, elegant card using the Encircled, where is it? Encircled in Friendship, Encircled in Friendship dies, or stamp set, and Encircled in Beauty dies. So we're using this, and just a note to let you know someone thought of you today. And I want to show you, so my inspiration for the background paper on this, and you can see the background paper here, was this designer series paper. And this designer series paper is the Blackberry Beauty, and I used that as my inspiration. So let's get started. So what we need is, our card base is 11 inches by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 5.5. So it opens this way. So it's a little bit different than your normal typical card. Okay, so let's set that aside. Now we need 3 pieces of copper foil, and they are 3 3/4 by 1 1/2 inches. Okay, let's turn. Okay, 3 3/4 by 1 1/2 inches. And you need 3 of them. And as always, if you miss any of my measurements, there'll be a direct link down in the description box, and you can go straight over to my blog post, and there'll be a list of supplies and the measurements in the blog post. Okay, so for the inside we need a piece of Very Vanilla that is 5 1/4 by 4, typical. And for the outside we need a piece of Blackberry Bliss, and this piece is 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, and then we're going to cut it after we stamp on it. So we need our Versamark pad, and we're going to heat emboss. So let me get a piece of scrap paper here, and here are my stamps. So we're going to take that floral stamp out of the Encircled in Friendship, and I'm just going to, first I'm going to, and don't worry that we have white all over. I'm using my embossing buddy. Don't worry that we have white all over our piece of Blackberry Bliss. It will wipe off after, but we want it on there right now. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to stamp, and you probably won't be able to see this, but I'm stamping all over this piece of Blackberry Bliss. There, you can see it. So I stamped all over it. Okay, now I'm going to use some copper embossing powder to emboss my piece of Blackberry Bliss here. And I'm just using an old coffee filter to catch my embossing powder. Okay, so we've got embossing powder all over that. Pour my powder back in before it gets everywhere. It always gets everywhere anyway, but I try to minimize where it goes. I will be right back while I heat emboss this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat emboss this from the back, and it's going to get a little loud for a minute, but sorry. I always let my my embossing gun heat up so that I can see the heat coils turn red inside before I start using it on my project. And this copper embossing powder, you can see it really shows up really well when it's done, so you can move it to the next spot. Okay, there, we're done. Isn't that gorgeous? So, okay, so now we have our embossed piece of Blackberry Bliss. And if you still have some white spots, just take a tissue and they'll wipe off white spots from your embossing buddy. They'll wipe right off. See? Okay, so now we're going to take our piece and we are going to cut it. So the 3.5 side stays the same. But we're going to cut it into 1 1/4 inch pieces. And you want to keep them in order, and you'll have a little bit left over at the end, and I did that on purpose, and you'll see why in just a minute. So we have, here's our piece, okay, 2, 3, and this one doesn't really matter if it's in order or not. And that way when it goes on your card base, it's in order. So I'm going to put these onto the foil like this. Let's see if my glue is going to work today. Yes, it is. Invariably I get halfway through a video and I've forgotten to, or I haven't used my glue at all that day, and then it's stuck and I have to stop the video and unstick my glue and okay, so we're gonna stick these 3 down. And if you're scared of getting them mixed up, you can always turn them over and with a pencil write 1, 2, 3, or left, middle, right, or whatever. Okay? So, there's our pieces. And I'm going to put them onto my card base, and the way I get them even is I put the left and the right one on first, and that way I can make sure the center one is put on centered between the two. Because if you were to put this one and assume that this was centered, and then you've got this one over here or over here, and then you've got a big gap over here. So put the left one on first, or the right one on first, and then the other outside, inside, I guess is the best way to do it. Now then, the biggest thing you need to be aware of is making sure that you're even across the top and the bottom. And so this is how you can do that too, is just take your third piece and make sure it's even. Okay, and this is my number 2 piece. So that would be my middle piece. I'm just going to make that equidistant between the other 2. And there is part of our card base. Okay, so The other piece that's on here is, this is cut out from the Encircled and Beauty dies. And that's my phone. My daughter is calling, so I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So the other thing I did was I used these Encircled and Beauty dies. I used this die, and I cut this piece out of Very Vanilla, or just a scrap of Very Vanilla. And I am going to take some Blackberry Bliss ink, if I can get it open. And this stamp set, this says, "Just a note to let you know that someone thought of you today." I'm just going to stamp it right in the middle, right there. Okay, and we need some dimensionals, and we're going to put a few dimensionals right on the back of this. And I'm not worrying about the lacy part, I'm just worrying about the middle. Okay, and this is going to go right to this side. And then I have a piece of this polka dot ribbon. I'm just going to make a bow. I always get the ribbon mixed up with the ribbon when I try to make a bow with this, because it's such, it kind of gets caught up in itself. So if I use tweezers, it helps me pull it out the right way. And I'm just going to manipulate the ribbon a little bit and then get a glue dot. There's a glue dot. I knew I had one around here. I'm going to put it on the back, not on my sleeve, on the back of the ribbon, and just stick the ribbon right there. Okay. Now, I've got some of these Champagne Basic Jewels. I'm going to take one and just put it right here at the bottom. It's kind of the same color as the copper foil. And the last thing I'm going to do is, here's my piece that is going to go on the inside. But remember this piece that we cut off? I'm going to take this piece, and this is how I'm going to tie the inside and the outside together. I'm going to take this piece and just put it right here on the end before I glue this in. Just like that. And there's our card. Isn't that, I just think that is simply elegant. So, I hope you enjoyed today's project. If you did, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and come back and see me next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.